Hey everybody, Baldoric here. Today we are going to talk about Hana, the new Tempest Trial unit in her ninja attire, which honestly I am loving that they are doing themes like this. Like we had pirates last time, ninjas this time. Do enjoy that kind of stuff, and I'm really liking how this unit looks. I'm liking this unit's stats. I think we actually got a really good Tempest Trial unit here, and typically I do 3 builds, which is usually something for AR, Arena, and Budget. I'm also going to be doing AR offense and defense this time because I think this unit has a lot of utility and can be used in many different ways. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. I'm just going to jump right in. Let's talk about the weapon she does come with, which is unique to her, which is Ninja Masakari, which is a grant speed +4, inflicts defense and res -4, but if she initiates combat, she attacks twice. So it's kind of like a mix of Reinhardt's weapon with a life and death kind of effect. Minus the attack. So it is kind of useful because it does give her that extra speed and it guarantees that she attacks twice. However, she doesn't necessarily need an effect like this, but with Ninja Masakari it does mean you could potentially attack 4 times if your speed is high enough. Very powerful weapon in certain situations. Not the most ideal for all of her builds, but definitely has utility, and we will talk about that. First, let's talk about an AR offense build. Now, nothing too crazy here. This is a pretty standard tank build minus Spurn and Deck Swabber. So Deck Swabber obviously can give, if she's by herself, she'll have that additional attack and defense and the effects that come with Deck Swabber. You can give it a speed refine, which puts her speed up to a solid 53. Let's talk about Mythics. We're using the standard free ones, which is Ear and Peony. I chose to do this because it's actually buffing her speed stat and her res stat, which actually does really benefit her tankiness because Deck Swabber will increase her defense, Ear will increase her resistance, putting them at some very high numbers. With Speed Res Solo, which will definitely be going off because we're trying to proc Deck Swabber, you are going to be going up another 6 speed and res, which is going to put her speed and res at a 59 speed, 46 res. Spurn for that damage reduction. Her speed is going to be high enough that we are going to be getting the damage reduction, and when noontime goes off, she will get that extra 5 damage on her attacks. Pulse Smoke, obviously, to make sure she doesn't get specialed, and Distant Counter to make sure that she can hit at any range. Now, I do think she is a fantastic unit for this type of role. Her stats do work very well with it. If you combo this with like a Brave Lucina, she's going to be even better. You can even use other units, such as the brand new Refine for Faye, because Faye, as long as she's within that 2 spaces, will also give a whole bunch of stats. So, or even like Red Mail Corin, works really well as a tank like this, does a very good job of what needs to be done for tanking. Definitely think that she is going to see a lot of play. Highly recommend using this unit for light season. I think she will make a great green tank for this season. Now, for AR defense, you can actually do like a really cool Wings of Mercy build with her. So if you have an infantry pulse team going off, and her HP is 57, which is not by any means the highest, especially if you have like an infantry pulse Sylvia or something like that, whose HP will exceed that 57 threshold, as long as you are using, a slot of HP +5 or something like that. So it'll make her Gale Force go down to be 2 procs, down by a proc. You have Quicken Pulse, which will decrease it as well. You could very easily use Flashing Blade here. Kind of depends on what you're doing. But I chose to just use Quicken Pulse for this build. You can definitely swap that out for something else because Ninja Masakari is going to make it pretty easy for her to get her effect off. But we have a guaranteed 2 attacks from Ninja Masakari, possibly more depending on what happens. So if you decrease by 2, you have Quicken Pulse going in. As long as the enemy either hits her once or you have a Wings of Mercy Dancer that's going to come in, she is definitely getting Gale Force out of either her first and or second combat. If you combine her with something like Eliwood, who is going to be able to go in, maybe use Lunge, Gale Force, you now have Wings of Mercy on her and she can go in and do the same thing. Now, depending on your build, you might want to sub that S slot for a Flashing Blade. Flashing Blade will actually have in some ways more utility for this. Kind of just depends on what you're doing. You could either use Flashing Blade 4 in the A slot and Swift Sparrow 2 in her S slot or something to that regard. Lots of different ways you can build this. essentially you just want to make sure that you are having a build that can proc Gale Force, has Wings of Mercy as your B slot, also most likely as her C slot, because that way you can make it so that specials aren't going off, and she is going to be able to get multiple attacks off. You just want to have a Wings of Mercy Dancer and another Gale Force as the initiator, most likely and probably best paired with Ellie Wood. So, great AR defense unit. I think Dark Season works well for her as well, but you can pick and choose what season you want to use her for. Now, Arena. You could very easily swap the B slot in here for Spurn. Spurn absolutely works in this slot. I chose to do something a little bit different just because I think everyone's going to be using Spurn. But there are other ways you can build her. This build is 100% interchangeable with Spurn. I chose low attack defense 3 because we are trying to get kills. And if you are trying to get kills, you don't necessarily need her to be a little bit more tanky. You need her to be able to pick up a kill so that you are getting those points for your arena. Now, obviously, this is for max score, and if she is by herself, she is going to be getting plus 11 speed. She's going to get plus 6 attack, 6 res. Joint drive attack is going to be going off, so she'll get the bonuses from that. And Dex Swabber, her attack stat is obviously going to be really high, and whenever Ruptured Sky does proc, especially against some sort of a dragon foe, going to be doing even better. So, very easy to pick up kills with this build, extremely easy in fact, and depending on who your partners are and who is giving her buffs or whatnot, especially in combat buffs, she's going to be doing even more damage. You just want to make sure that you are keeping her by herself when she initiates combat, so she's getting the solo skills and Dex Swabber off, so she's doing a ton of damage that way. And she's definitely going to be doubling because her speed stat is going to be so high. So I would say just as long as her partners can either up her attack or her defenses just to make sure she does survive whatever it is she's attacking, she is going to be good to go. Now, let's say you are just going to get her and you want to build her for fun, you want to build her to be your bonus unit. How do you do like a solid budget build? Well, considering her base kit, you can do something like this. Now, there's a lot of things you can interchange here, such as Glimmer being swapped out for something else. However, I think Glimmer works really well, especially if you use Wrath, because after you proc it once, depending on what turn you are on, you are going to be able to be getting Glimmer off very, very easy in the second combat. In fact, her second attack will be a Glimmer when Wrath goes off. Fury is going to put her into... Fury 3 is going to put her into Wrath range, so after you proc Glimmer once, one of her 2 attacks will get Glimmer going, because she's only going to have 1 charge on your turn, and then her second attack is going to proc this. Speed Res Solo is just a solid one you can have here. Obviously, you want to give her the most amount of speed, so you can potentially hit for 4 times. The res just kind of makes her a little bit tankier. This could easily be swapped for Swift Sparrow 3, something to that effect, depending on what you're trying to do. Even a Death Blow is actually fine here because she is going to be attacking twice no matter what. This is if you're trying to make her attack 4 times, which if you're doing, if you're just using her base and you're using her in low-end stuff, like just PvE, not against other players, definitely a way you could go if you want to attack for 4 times. Attack Smoke is obviously just to have that standard debuff going off to make sure her and the allies around her are going to take less damage overall. All around, great unit. Her stats are fantastic. I think she's going to see a ton of play in every mode, honestly. I think you should invest in her if you are looking for a Grail project, and especially if you don't have an invested green. I think she is going to be one of the best greens in the game, especially considering that she's basically a free-to-play hero. So, that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, consider subscribing. I'm going to put out more videos just like this one. Consider following my Twitter. I post all my updates, projects, and builds on there. So if you ever want to see stuff that I am working on my different merge projects or what I'm going to do for units like her, you can check it out there. Obviously, these videos come out, and that's kind of where you can see my ideas for builds, but sometimes I even veer from those as time goes on. So, again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.